Hey guys, nice to be with you. My name's Evan Brennan, NFL agent. Really excited to talk with you today about pro days and what occurs at a school's pro days. Pro days are typically held the first week of March all the way through what could be around the middle of April. These days act as kind of a player at a particular school's combine invitation if he didn't have one. So these are super important for collegiate players that just finished their senior season that were not invited to the NFL Combine. Of course, players that were invited to the Combine and also attend their pro days. But here's how they're kind of used. If you attended the NFL Combine, hopefully you did really well. And then all you really want to do is essentially the skills that you maybe didn't do very well or just your positional work in an interview with teams. Sometimes NFL players that went to the Combine and didn't do very well will use the pro day to redo a drill they didn't do very well at the combine, and maybe the 40-yard dash, maybe the three cone, maybe a broad, maybe a vert. But that's kind of how that works. Pro days are held at the school, at the facilities, and NFL teams will send scouts to attend. Sometimes that there's not a lot of prospects at that school, and so you may not have a lot of NFL scouts attend. However, there'll always be someone there to take the numbers. From national scouting, someone from the Blesto. You'll usually get someone there that'll definitely take the numbers that are contributed there on pro day. But who attends is largely predicated on what teams think of the prospects at that school. So if you've got a potential first rounder, you're going to see a general manager maybe there, a position coach there. What will also happen at a pro day is that if there is some interest in a player, they maybe get taken off to the side and worked by a couple teams. If there's a lot of interest in a player from a lot of teams, then positional work really comes into play. Interviews on the side also occur if there's a lot of interest in a prospect. The Wonderlic exam will also be administered to a prospect if he hasn't already taken it. Sometimes if he hasn't already taken it in the spring. Sometimes also there may be some other high-level different exams that can be administered to a player. I've had prospects before that were really intelligent be administered these kind of intelligent character exams that aren't the Wonderlic but are different to players that are really, really intelligent, and that can come into play as well. The Packers and the Falcons are renowned for doing those kinds of things. A lot of other things will also occur at pro day that you may see. Teams will ask about injury histories. It's an opportunity for scouts to also talk to the coaching staff. And really, the coaching staff may have a little hand in trying to encourage certain teams in attending, but largely teams will attend whether or not there are prospects at the school. They can start the pro day in a number of different ways. That really depends on the scout running the pro day. How it works is there's one designated scout that will run the pro day, and he'll kind of dictate the flow of events for the most part. They may start with the bench, they may not. They start with a 40. A number of different things can happen. For sometimes you may also see smaller school players try to attempt to get into a larger pro day, and that call is largely made up by the head coach of that school. And also the scouts can kind of weigh into that as well as to whether or not they really want to see some other players involved with that. So if you're a small school player, depends on how small school and what your tie is to that school, will largely be predicated on whether or not you can kind of sneak into a larger school's pro day. I've attended a number of pro days and seen smaller players get that invite. But that's something that an agent kind of works with the head coach at that given school, the bigger school, to see if they can get a smaller school prospect invited. Having said that, I've seen a lot of smaller schools run their own pro days, and if they have the star power, then scouts will show up to attend that smaller school as well at that pro day. Southern Utah comes to mind. They had 3 combine players from Southern Utah, and so they held their own pro day, and they had a ton of scouts in attendance. So that kind of plays into whether or not a smaller school will hold a pro day or just try to get their players into a larger school's pro day. So just understand that how that all plays out. It's about visibility, and unless you've really got star power at your school, scouts may or may not be in attendance. If you're a smaller school player and you've got a lot of clout going into the pro day, your school may choose to hold its own. So that's something to keep in mind. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully this helped you a little bit understand what a pro day is. It's essentially the NFL Combine at your given school, and give you a little insight as to what you need to do to prepare for it. All the same drills that go on the NFL Combine, you will see at a pro day: 40, broad, vert, bench, all those things, 3 cone. will all come into play. So just be aware of it and be ready for it. Until next time, best of luck.